this week we are going to be working on coming up with a problem-solving strategy. This is an anchor chart that I have posted in the room. These are the steps that we are going to follow when we are solving addition and subtraction word problems. So the first thing I always want students to do is to circle the question. We're going to read the problem, we're going to circle the sentence that asks the question. So, for example, I'm going to come to my word problem right here. I'm going to read the problem all the way through. The Astros scored 6 runs in game 1. During game 2, they scored 8 runs. How many runs did they score in both games? So I'm going to circle the sentence that asks the question. Here's our question mark. Let's go to our capital letter, and we're going to circle it. How many runs did they score in both games? Okay. Let me go back up to my problem-solving strategy. The next thing it tells me to do is to reread the question and then reword the question as a statement. So, how many runs did they score in both games? I'm going to rephrase that as a sentence. They scored blank runs in both games. They scored blank runs in both games. So I am restating it as a sentence, and that is what I'm looking for. So now I reworded the question as a statement. Now I'm going to hunt for my clues. I'm going to identify the following. What do I know? What do I need to know? Is there extra information I can get rid of? So now I'm going to go to my actual word problem. The Astros scored 6 runs in game 1. During game 2, they scored 8 runs. So I am looking for runs. The only information I need to circle and find is the information that involves runs. They scored 6 runs, and then they scored 8 runs. These extra numbers are confusing me. So I'm going to throw them away because I do not need them. I don't want to end up adding those numbers or subtracting those numbers because then it will cause me to get a wrong answer. So then I am going to go to my next step, which is assemble a plan. How am I going to solve this? What method am I going to use? Include labels with your numbers. So they scored 6 runs, then they scored 8 runs. I need to know how many runs they scored in both games. So if I need to know how many they scored in both games, I'm going to be putting those together, which means I'm going to be adding. I'm going to be adding up 6R and 8R. And I'm going to be putting those together. 6 plus 8. And then I'm going to do my math. I can draw dots, I can draw lines, I can count on my fingers, I can use my hundreds chart, but in the end, my answer will be 14. Okay, so now let's look at our next step. Solve the problem. We looked at the plan, we followed our plan to solve the problem, we showed our steps that include labels with my numbers. Does my answer make sense? Is it reasonable? Is it reasonable that when I combine 6 and 8 together, I would get 14? Yes, that would make sense because my answer is larger. Of course, I can double check and recount that 6 plus 8 is 14. Okay, we did that. All right, explain your answer. Restate the question and include your answer. Explain how or why you got the answer. Evaluate the process. Is there another way you could have solved the problem? So I'm going to plug this into my statement. They scored 14 runs in both games. The reason why I got that answer is because I added 6 and 8 together. I took out 1 and 2 because I didn't want it to confuse me. I am talking about both games, but I did not want to add 1 and 2 together, which is why I took it out. I did put 6 and 8 together, and that is how I got 14. So I don't think there's another way I could have solved this problem. I do think this is the best way, and so that is how I'm going to find my answer. Those are the steps that I would like the students to do as they are completing their homework. Their homework does not look like this. It actually looks like this, but same process. They're going to be doing the exact same things. If you do have any questions on this specifically, please definitely let me know.